Load up on Führer's cheese spread today. Found in most local grocery stores.
Start your Sundays off right with Jeff and Nicole Essink on Fitness Fanatics. Jeff and Nicole discuss health and wellness, how to achieve fitness goals, and more through the life of gym owners and gym goers. It's Fitness Fanatics from 9 to 11 a.m. on Sundays on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket as soon as the clock hits 0 for the Jay Foreman postgame show. Listen to expert analysis from the Husker Hall of Famer, an 8-year NFL veteran, for 90 minutes after the game. The Jay Foreman postgame show, sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Kreekak, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM first, 93.7 The Ticket. Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Ticket Weeknights. I am Karter Longie, back on the mic here at 93.7 The Tickets, and ready to get you ready for some high school football tonight. But first, we're going to have about 20 minutes or so before we get into the pregame with Nick Sainert and Jay Foreman. So we'll take some time, talk some Husker football, maybe a little bit of NFL, as that's coming up next week as well. Also take a look at what we got going on this Saturday, which is obviously tomorrow for college football as well. Take a look at some of those matchups. Not a lot of real marquee matchups here in this first week. There never really is a lot of non-conference games and stuff like that. So it'll be probably a lot of ranked teams and stuff like that beating up on some lesser opponents. But there's still probably a couple games out there that we can take a look at and might have some things worth noting as we get ready here for college football to really kick off in full force here tomorrow. So once again, the Starter Heyman text line, Honda of Lincoln hotline, are always open. 402-464-5685 is the number for both of those. Once again, 402-464-5685. Make sure you also check out the Starter Heyman live stream. We are streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Also check out Allo Channel 951. You can watch us there as well if you would rather do that rather than listening. Of course, we're on the airwaves, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. So that's kind of all you need to know. You got lots of different places to watch and listen to us. So make sure you check all those out. Make sure you subscribe, follow us, and so you can always stay up to date on everything that's going on here, as everything's always expanding here at the Tickets, and we got the move downtown coming up as well here soon. So lots of good things happening. So first thing I want to talk about is probably the thing that you've heard lots of people talk about today, and that is the Nebraska Cornhuskers season opening loss to the Minnesota Golden Gophers on the road. Minnesota goes 1-0. Nebraska drops to 0-1, unfortunately. A lot of different things to break down here, and I'll just kind of give you my thoughts and opinions on it as well, as I'm sure you've heard quite a few, but I still want to kind of jump in here and give my thoughts too. So first of all, let's talk about just kind of what happened. Obviously, Nebraska loses 13-10. They get outscored 10-3 there in the fourth quarter. Just an unfortunate game there. It was a defensive battle like a lot of us really expected it to be. I know in my pregame little segment that I had on Thursday, I said I thought the under would definitely hit. The over-under was 43, so that was a very easy play there for anybody who maybe went out to Warhorse and wanted to put something down on that. The under hit by a mile, so I guess I made the right call there. Unfortunately, I also predicted that Minnesota would win in a close game. I believe I picked 21-17. Obviously, not quite that many points got scored, but it was a pretty close score gap, as, again, they ended up winning by 3 points, and it kind of happened the way that everybody kind of feared it happened, is if Nebraska got outplayed and Minnesota just, played good football and they just had better talent on the field and, ended up losing a close one, I don't think too many fans would have been real upset with a performance like that if they would have just lost to a Big Ten opponent who's had a couple of really good years in the past and just got outplayed. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. I mean, obviously you don't want to ever lose or get outplayed, but when it happens in that fashion, it's not quite as devastating. But of course, Nebraska can never do things the easy way. They kind of had to shoot themselves in the foot like they always do, it seems, and it just ends up not really coming out on top for them. Lots of turnovers all over the place. Jeff Sims ends up throwing 3 picks, and then, of course, the big one was the Anthony Grant fumble there with about 4 or 5 minutes left in the game, and that was an absolute killer. So let's start there. Obviously, again, I'm sure you guys have heard it a lot, but I can't understand how the coaching staff makes that call for a guy who you demoted to the third-string running back, and the reasoning for it was that he had ball security issues. So why in that situation do you put that guy on the field with a chance to really seal the game up, and just got to run out the clock, keep the ball in your hands. Obviously, if Minnesota gets a stop, it happens, but to fumble it with a guy who had ball security issues in the fall camp and spring camp, stuff like that, I just don't really get the decision to put him out there in a time like that. Obviously, I'm not going to blame this entire loss on Anthony Grant, because there's things all over the place that happened and were preventable and could have led to Nebraska not losing this game. But that one was big. That one hurts. Got to protect the ball in that situation. I don't really know why you don't have Gabe Ervin in the game at that time. He was, selected as the lead running back for this team this season, and he was having a good game. He had 7 carries for 55 yards. He was averaging nearly 8 yards a carry. A little bit inflated due to that one run that he went for nearly 30 on. But he was having a solid game overall. And of course, the biggest thing that we're going to keep coming back to is ball security. Can't put a guy out there in a time like that we have ball security issues with. Another person that obviously has gotten a lot of flack and some talk about him was Jeff Sims. It started out, looked a little shaky early on, but he looked like he settled in there towards the end. He did a fantastic job carrying the ball, 19 carries for 91 yards. So really, really impressive in that facet. I don't really think Nebraska wants him carrying it nearly 20 times a game. That's probably going to have to be cut down on. But at the same time, I do like them playing into his strengths a little bit, which I think we need to kind of do more of. He had some throws down the field where he just didn't really look comfortable, threw off his back foot a few times, including that kind of game-sealing interception. So Jeff Sims definitely has some things to work on and clean up. But the biggest thing to kind of think about as Husker fans after this one, and just really football fans in general who maybe were watching this game, is don't overreact too much. I know it's been going on for years with Nebraska. It seems like they just can't get out of their own way. And I agree. It seems like they cannot get out of their own way. But at the same time, this is a new regime. It's a new era. They played very hard all game. They were out there competing. But I know people are tired of hearing that. So I do agree. At some point, Nebraska has to just figure out how to win games and not make these, game-changing errors that end up losing them the games on a game-winning field goal. But that's just the fact of the matter, what happened. Just biggest thing, got to take better care of the ball. But there was definitely some positives as well. The defense looked unreal. They were very stifling. I don't think this Minnesota offense is bad. You got Sean Tyler, the transfer from Western Michigan, who's a back-to-back 1,000-yard rusher. I believe he has about 2,500 yards in his career coming into this year. So he's a solid running back. Obviously, he was playing at a group of 5. He wasn't playing at a Power 5 school the past couple of years, but he's still a solid running back. Usually that kind of play still translates. Nebraska held him to 10 carries for 41 yards, which is solid. Everyone else behind him, nothing more than 15 yards. Bryce Williams had 6 carries for 14 yards. That was their next leading rusher. So nobody was really impressive on the ground for Minnesota. Ethan Kaliakmanis, their starting quarterback, was kind of up and down. There were certain points in the game where I will say Kaliakmanis, he could be a good quarterback here for the Gophers going forward. He looked pretty solid at certain points. There's also others where, he looked a little bit shaky and things like that. He had the one pick that was a big one for Nebraska that I thought was maybe going to help them really kind of turn the game around and help maybe put it away. But obviously that didn't end up happening. But he looks pretty solid for the most part for Minnesota. And then obviously Daniel Jackson was their leading receiver in the game. And that touchdown grab was unreal. We can talk about the possible false start that happened all we want. There's been a lot of discussion about that. Was it really a false start? I saw both Austin and Nick posting some stuff on Twitter or X, I guess, whatever you want to call it, about, there are certain rules where kind of that early jump is allowed. So we're still not 100% sure if that was really legal or not with the offensive lineman getting off the quick start there. Obviously, as Husker fans, we all want to say that was a false start and that shouldn't have happened. But at the end of the day, Nebraska put themselves in situations where that false start shouldn't have mattered. They had the game in hand, I felt like, at one point. Obviously, I'm never too completely confident that Nebraska has the game firmly in hand unless they're up by multiple scores late in the game, because Nebraska just always seems to kind of Nebraska themselves. But I felt like they had a good chance to really put it away. And they made some costly turnovers there at the end of the game, which, again, that's just something Nebraska cannot do. And if they want to win football games going forward in the Big Ten and really any games anywhere, they're going to have to start putting stuff like that away. I thought, one kind of duo that we talked about heading into the game was the Bullock brothers. They were impressive. Alex Bullock was the leading receiver for the team. One thing that was kind of surprising was Billy Kemp never really got involved. But then we have John Bullock, his brother, also on the defensive side of the ball, playing linebacker for the first time. And we had why did I just blank? Nick Henrich was out for the game, so he had to step up a little bit, and he did a nice job, made some tackles there on defense, and kind of did his job. Again, I can't really, say enough about the defense. They did a really, really good job. I don't think this Minnesota team will be held at 13 points a ton this season. I think that the defense did a really nice job, and that's a good sign for things to come. If they can be that stout and the offense can just kind of clean up some errors and kind of figure things out a little bit, then I think Nebraska will have a good chance to have a decent season going forward. I still have hope. I'm not going to, again, overreact too much to this game. It was definitely a disappointing way to lose, but at the end of the day, there were some good signs as well. Nebraska very, very effective on the ground. Minnesota, I believe there's a stat during the game. They hadn't allowed over like 150 rush yards in some time. Nebraska rushed for 181. So that was obviously very, very good to see. On the flip side, our defense only allowed 55 rushing yards total. So, all around a pretty solid effort. We out-yardaged them, I guess. I don't know if that's the right word to use there, but we had more yards than Minnesota in the game. First downs were pretty close. Third down efficiency, we were both about 50%. So for the most part, Nebraska really played them pretty evenly, and if anything, maybe a little bit of an advantage. But at the end of the day, a big one is the turnovers, 3 interceptions thrown by Jeff Sims, and obviously the biggest, probably one of all, was that fumble by Anthony Grant there towards the end of the game, was a big killer for Nebraska as well. We got to get some commercial breaks out of the way here before we get ready for some high school football. So we're going to throw to a quick break here, and then I'll come back, talk a little bit more college football, maybe a couple NFL little segments here too, if we have time for them. But for now, we'll throw it to break, and we'll be right back here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Summer is winding down, but there's no reason to put your golf clubs away. Double Eagle Golf makes golf leagues and events possible year-round. Sign up today for 9-hole leagues this fall, any day from Monday to Friday, starting on September 25th. Check out their deals on monthly memberships and schedule your Husker watch parties, birthday or bachelor parties, corporate and team outings, or just a good old Saturday with the boys. That's all at Double Eagle Golf inside the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street. Call today at 402-742-0140.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and Bob just wanted to say thank you for a record-setting July here at Koppel. The summer sales event continues in August, and the incentives are crazy good. Check this out. We got 0.9% financing along with a $2,500 trade-in rebate on select new models. You heard right. 0.9% financing has been extended along with a trade-in rebate. Also, our GM-certified used inventory is filling up fast, so make that money-saving drive to Koppel. It's just south of the interstate, or shop online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with approved credit.
This is Brian at Midwest Bank, and we've been proudly serving clients in the Lincoln community since 2008, and we're excited to open a second location in January 2024 at 70th and Pioneers Boulevard. Our new branch will provide all the convenient services you're looking for in a bank, along with the friendly staff we're known for. Whether you're starting a business or expanding your business, our team is here for you, your community, your bank, Midwest Bank. Find out more at midwestbank.com, member FDIC.
Lane's Cover Crop is your one-stop seed shop. Call us now for spring and summer forages, CRP mixes, and fall cover crop blends. We do farm-specific consulting for practical and efficient seed blends to fit your geography and goals. With a very diverse inventory, we will tailor a blend just for you. We're also looking for contract growers, and we buy and sell rye. Find us online at plainscovercrop.com. Timeless agronomy practices paired with modern technology. East Highway 20 in Orchard and across Nebraska.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Tune in to 93.7 The Ticket as soon as the clock hits 0 for the Jay Foreman postgame show. Listen to expert analysis from the Husker Hall of Famer, an 8-year NFL veteran, for 90 minutes after the game. The Jay Foreman postgame show, sponsored by Tanner's Bar and Grill, Vinny Creekat, and Action Plumbing, Heating, AC, and Electrical on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Discover the difference that expertise and experience can make in your real estate journey with Next Ag Appraisal and Realty. Whether you need an appraisal, sales, or farm management, Next Ag comes up with a solution with your legacy and goals in mind. Next Ag isn't just their name, it's your future. So why wait? Visit their website today at www.nextagrealestate.com or give them a call at 402-380-0432 and turn your dreams into reality. Your land, your legacy, their solutions. Next Ag Appraisal and Realty.
Back to The Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to the Ticket Weeknights. Once again, I am Karter Longie taking you through this next 20 minutes or so until we throw it out to Nick Sanders and Jay Foreman for pregame for tonight's high school matchup. I believe it's Lincoln Southeast and Lincoln East here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Once again, you can chime in with me for these next 20 minutes or so if you'd like to. 402-464-5685 is the Honda of Lincoln hotline and the Starter Heyman text line. Once again, 402-464-5685. Make sure you also check out the Starter Heyman video stream. We're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and also on Allo channel 951. So if you have Allo, make sure you tune in there as well. Again, want to stay up to date with everything that we got going on here at the Ticket, both over the airwaves and on the video streams, so you don't miss a thing. And again, we just kind of wrapped up talking about Minnesota and Nebraska. Again, don't overreact too much. It's the first game of the season. I know we love to overreact to everything, but at the end of the day, it's just one game. Obviously, it was another heartbreaker, and it's another one-possession loss that came at the end of the game, in a game in which we led late in the game. So it sucks. At the end of the day, it sucks, but we just got to kind of move on from it, keep her rolling, and get ready for Colorado next week as Nebraska continues their season over there in Boulder with a rivalry renewed a little bit here coming up. So as we kind of move forward here, let's take a look at some of what else we got going on in college football this weekend, and also some past games as well. I haven't had a chance yet to talk about week 0 either. I guess the two main games that a lot of people kind of paid attention to were USC, San Jose State, and Notre Dame and Navy. Obviously, two highly ranked teams there with USC, Notre Dame, so a lot of people were tuned in. USC looked as dominant as usual. Caleb Williams went for nearly 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, already looking like the Heisman winner once again, and obviously he's the bona fide number 1 draft pick. He's the clear-cut favorite for the Heisman. Nobody's gone back-to-back in, well, forever. I mean, it's only been done once, so it's been a long time, but Caleb Williams definitely has a shot to do it, and he started off with a strong performance this year. Notre Dame looked very, very good. Obviously, Navy's not a great team, but I think Sam Hartman's going to be making a big difference this year for Notre Dame. That's going to be a very important part. They haven't had really an elite quarterback here in a few years, and I would consider Sam Hartman pretty elite. So if he continues to play well all season long, he threw for over 250 yards and 4 touchdowns for Notre Dame in that game as well. Again, Navy's not a very impressive football team, but still a good start there for Marcus Freeman and his team to open up this season. So those were the only kind of 2 week 0 games I really wanted to hit on real quick before we move forward here with week 1. But now as we take a look at week 1, we'll look at some of our ranked teams that we got going on and just kind of look at the full slate and let you know what we got for games coming up. So as we move through Saturday now, well, first, I guess, let's take a look at the other Thursday game that was a big one that a lot of people tuned into. Florida and Utah. That was a game that last year was a good one. Utah, a little bit understaffed here, I guess we want to call it that. Cam Rising, who was seen by a lot of people as a possible Heisman contender coming into the year, was unable to play. So they had to play multiple different quarterbacks in this game. They had both a second string and a third string play, I believe. So Bryson Barnes, though, was their leading passer, but Nate Johnson, who's also a quarterback, was their leading rusher. So Bryson Barnes, 12 for 18 for 159 yards and a touchdown. Then Nate Johnson threw a few passes, but also carried the ball 6 times for 45 yards and a touchdown. So Utah kind of making things work there with their star quarterback out for that game. Graham Mertz for Florida, of course, the Wisconsin transfer, had a solid game. Okay, I guess. He was 31 for 44, 333 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. So he aired it out a lot. Obviously, they were trailing very early in the game. The score heading into the fourth quarter was 24-3. So it wasn't really a great game. The score, makes it look like maybe it was a little bit closer than it was, but Utah really dominated that entire game, and they look like they're going to be a very formidable team here once again as we get going in this 2023-2024 college football season. So now let's take a look ahead at tomorrow. We'll just run through some of these games kind of quickly because a lot of them are just going to probably be blowouts. So we got Michigan. They're going to be hosting East Carolina. Obviously, Michigan looking to finally make that run at the national title, right? They've made the playoff now a couple times. They've beaten Ohio State a couple times, but they just can't quite get over that hump. So obviously it's not going to be a test or anything like this in week 1, but they got to get things rolling right away. Start getting some things figured out. JJ McCarthy seems to improve with each game and each year. So we'll see. I think he's a dark horse contender for the Heisman. I don't even know if you really call him a dark horse. I'm not sure what he is in the odds, but he's a guy that I like, that I think could make a little bit of a run at it if he has a good year. So I think Michigan, obviously, going to be a team to watch. They're number 2 in the country, but they're playing East Carolina, so they're going to probably blow them out of the water. We got Tennessee hosting Virginia. Obviously, Virginia is a Power 5 opponent, but they're probably one of the weakest Power 5 opponents in the entire country. So Tennessee comes into the season ranked 12th in the polls. We'll see if they look like that number 12 team, because obviously, even though some of these teams, they play some pretty big cupcake games early on, they can still, kind of start making impressions right away based on, sometimes at the end of the year, it comes down to, did you really assert your dominance against some of these lesser teams? They're not going to look back at week 1 a lot unless you play a big time matchup, but it's, you never know. You get on the bubble. They could look at how you perform at some of those lesser teams, and the eye tests, things like that. Joe Milton, though, stepping into that starting quarterback role at Tennessee, that should be interesting to keep an eye on as well, because some people are very high on him. Some people are very concerned with some of the accuracy issues and stuff like that. So we'll see how he kind of shakes out here for Tennessee as well, and how he ends up playing this season for the Vols. Other ranked matchups, we've got Colorado and TCU. That's going to be one that a lot of Nebraska fans are probably keeping an eye on. Obviously, we play Colorado next week. An old rivalry renewed, as we've mentioned a couple times. And TCU coming off that national championship runner-up season, but now they've lost a lot of guys from that team, including their starting quarterback, Max Duggan. So they come into this season ranked 17th, quite a big drop-off for a team that was the runner-up last year. I have to assume that's got to be probably one of the bigger drops that we've seen in the college football playoff era, in terms of a team who, either made the playoff or even furthermore made the championship game, and then drops all the way down there in the rankings heading into the next season. Because obviously TCU was never really expected to kind of make that run last year to even begin with. But now they've lost a lot of that team, including their kind of Cinderella story quarterback, Max Duggan. So we'll see how they perform this year. I think Colorado gets stomped. I hope they get stomped. But we'll see. You never know. Maybe Colorado's going to perform better than a lot of people think. I know some people think that Colorado, excuse me, some people think Colorado's going to end up being really good, and other people think they're going to be just awful. It doesn't really seem like anybody thinks they're going to be mediocre. It seems like people either have expectations that are way too high or just very, very low. I am on the lower end. I don't think Colorado wins more than 3 games. But we'll see. I think TCU stomps them, though, here in the season opener at home. Oklahoma is preseason ranked again after a rough season last year. We'll see if they can kind of get things under control here in the second year of the Venables tenure. They are ranked 20th coming into the year. They're going to be hosting Arkansas State in their first game of the year. Once again, not really one worth noting too much, but we'll see if they look a little bit more clean than they did last year. Iowa is going to be hosting Utah State. That's one that Iowa's favored by 23.5. I do think Iowa's going to be better this year, unfortunately. Please don't come after me. I know we don't like Iowa. I still don't like Iowa, but I do think they're going to be a better team this year. They've got a viable quarterback. They don't have one of the worst quarterbacks in college football history this year. So, unfortunately, I do think Iowa's offense is going to be a little bit more solid, and I think their defense will still be pretty good as well, as it is every year. So they come into the year ranked 25th. Utah State, though, one of those teams that is not Power 5, but some people think could be Power 5, sometime soon. I don't even know. I don't know if they've been in the conference realignment yet or not. But they're definitely a team that's been thrown around, as they usually have a solid team. So we'll see if they can, maybe give Iowa a little bit of a scare. Obviously, that's what Nebraska fans probably want, but we'll have to keep an eye on that one as well. Ole Miss is hosting Mercer. This one's supposed to be such a bad blowout that they don't even have a line for it. So Ole Miss comes in 22 in the country. We'll see how they perform in their opener. Same thing with Oregon. They are hosting Portland State as the number 15 team in the country. Again, don't even have a line. That's going to be a massive blowout. I do like Bo Nix, though. I want to keep an eye on him. I think he'll be another good possible Heisman contender this year. I think both Oregon and Washington have possible Heisman contenders at quarterback. So I like to kind of keep an eye on both those teams that are eventually going to be heading to play this way as well. Ohio State and Indiana. It's at Indiana. Ohio State's favored by 30 points. Not really anything to watch, I guess, except for, we'll see how Ohio State can play out without an NFL clear-cut prospect at quarterback. Does that kind of trip them up a little bit? That'll be kind of something to watch out for, I guess. But Indiana's not really good one to kind of test it out, because they're terrible. They're very bad. So we'll see how that one goes. Washington's hosting Boise State. Washington's favored by 2 touchdowns, but let's not forget, Boise State is perennially one of the best Group of 5 teams in the country. So we'll see if they can kind of compete with Washington there a little bit in Seattle. I would think Washington should take care of business. Again, I really like Michael Penix Jr. I thought he looked really good last year. He looked really good in Indiana back in 2020 when they kind of had that fluke year when they were really good. And then he ended up transferring out after kind of a poor 2021. But I like him a lot. I think he's a dark horse Heisman contender as well. I don't really know if he's even a dark horse, but I think he's going to be a very serious Heisman contender. And I'm excited to watch him in that offense perform well again. They were second in both the Pac-12 and the country in a lot of offensive categories last year behind USC. So I think they're going to be high-powered again. But again, Boise State, very solid program, very good Group of 5 team, and I think they're going to come out and compete and at least give Washington a little bit of a test early on. Texas hosting Rice, that one's not entertaining at all. Texas is ranked 11th in the country, though, so we'll see if it's their year. It's always Texas's year, but still, horns down. Moving on here, Notre Dame going to play their second game of the year. They're hosting Tennessee State. Again, not going to spend a whole lot of time there. They are going to blow them out of the water. Wisconsin's hosting Buffalo. It's 19th in the country. Should be another easy one for Wisconsin, but Buffalo can be interesting here and there. Georgia's hosting UT Martin. So I guess that's a game for the number 1 team in the country. Excuse me. And then USC, for their second game of the year, going to be hosting Nevada, favored by 38. So that should be a pretty easy game there for USC as well. And then we have Southeast Missouri State taking on Kansas State. Should be another easy blowout win there for K-State. Got New Mexico going into Texas A&M. My apologies. I'll have to get a little bit of dry throat here. Kind of tough to monologue once in a while. But Texas A&M, we'll see if they can kind of bounce back after a rough year when they were expected to be one of the best teams in the country. Ended up not living up to the expectations. So we'll see if they can kind of do it this year. But they're going to host New Mexico to open up their year. Alabama hosting Middle Tennessee. They're the number 4 team in the country. Again, should be a blowout. Penn State, West Virginia could be a little bit interesting. Penn State comes in as number 7 team in the country. A lot of people like them to make the playoff if they can kind of put things together, which I'm kind of in that boat. I don't know if they make the playoff, but I think they can beat at least either Michigan or Ohio State. I don't know about both of them, but one or the other I think could be interesting. North Carolina, South Carolina, that'll be a big one as well. South Carolina, unranked. North Carolina, number 21. And final game on Saturday is South Alabama and Tulane. I'm going to throw to a quick break because I need some water here. And we got to do another break in before we go to pregame for high school football. So once again, I'm Karter Longie. You're listening to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. We'll be right back.
General contractors, business owners, property owners. The success of your business requires doing business with the right people. And the right people when it comes to drywall, acoustical ceilings, and specialty products are at Premier Drywall. Kevin and his crew will give your project the response and attention it deserves.
You'll get all of the attention to detail and quality that you would expect from someone who's been in the business for 30 years. For your new builds, build-outs, or renovations, reach out to Kevin at premierdw.com. Premier Drywall in Lincoln.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is now open in Lincoln. Shop our expansive collection of wine, beer, spirits, and cigars at 5040 North 27th Street. From top shelf liquor to crowd favorite beer, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits has a beverage for every taste and every budget. Plus, join our loyalty program to earn rewards and save on future purchases. Shop Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street in Lincoln. That's 5040 North 27th Street.
You've driven by GE Landscape Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money, and you can buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere. Stop by 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday to Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to GELandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627.
Warning, this ad will use the F word often, so listen at your own risk. Family fun, fun with friends, freedom from fuel, free Yeti cooler, free driveway delivery. Hey, this is Carl from Nebraska Golf Carts and Priced Right Auto, and we have the all-electric Bentelli Fun Carts, and they are a blast. Plenty of fun colors, and these street-legal carts come with both 4 and 6 passenger. Tell us you heard us on the ticket and get a free Yeti cooler with your purchase. Hurry, supply is limited. Check them out at 1235 West O in Lincoln or NebraskaGolfCarts.com.
Integrated Life Choices has been inspiring opportunities for individuals with disabilities for more than 15 years in Lincoln and across Nebraska by offering a number of services. From group homes to independent living resources and job training, you'll find the support that allows people to live fulfilling lives. They're also hiring. If you're looking for a rewarding career supporting people with developmental disabilities, you can check out open positions along with learning more about services at ilc.net. Integrated Life Choices. Ever wish you had another light switch on the other side of the room on a dark night? How much better would you sleep at night if you had a ceiling fan in your room? The High Electric Service Department is here to make your electrical what-ifs a reality. Whether you're looking to replace some outdated light fixtures or brighten up your counters with under-cabinet lighting, High Electric can handle all types of residential electrical installations and services. Give Erica a call at 402-466-6606 or visit high-electric.com to get started.
The Butchery by Venue is Lincoln's premier specialty grocers. Take the quality of Venue home with you with our hand-cut steaks, handcrafted burgers, and locally sourced offerings. Browse our wide selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences with cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today, located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
September is National Literacy Month, a time to encourage the young people in your life to go to the library, pick up a good book, and explore new worlds. I'm Jenny Benson, president of the Nebraska State Education Association. By getting books in the hands of kids, we can engage these young readers in their learning and help them see how school, community, and the world beyond are connected.
Sponsored by the Nebraska State Education Association, aired by the Nebraska Broadcasters Association in this station.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This is Ticket Weeknights. I am Karter Longie. Only got a couple more minutes here with you all, and then we're going to send it out to Nick Sainert and Jay Foreman for Lincoln East versus Lincoln Southeast in a Class A high school football matchup. But before we do that, let's finish up here, kind of taking a look at the college football slate. Once again, if you ever want to chime in, 402-464-5685, the Starter Heyman text line, and the Hotline of Lincoln hotline. Also check out the Starter Heyman live stream, Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And also, of course, Allo Channel 951. Check it out there as well. But before I get out of here, let's finish kind of taking a look at this week's college football slate. Last couple games we haven't gotten to yet. Of course, we're just kind of wrapping up there with tomorrow's games. One I do kind of want to go back, though, and take a little bit closer look at really fast here. It was North Carolina and South Carolina. That should be pretty good. It's the Dukes Mayo Classic. It's going to be 6:30 p.m. on ABC. That should be a really good game. South Carolina, North Carolina. It's a rivalry game. It's in South Carolina, so it should be a little bit of a test, or maybe it's in North Carolina. It might be a neutral site. I'm a little confused now because it says Bank of America Stadium. So it must be a neutral site. I think they're playing Bank of America, I believe, is where the Panthers play. So it must be a neutral site, but it is in North Carolina. But anyways, it is going to be a good rivalry game. North Carolina comes into the season ranked. Obviously, Drake May is kind of the favorite to go as the second quarterback in this coming year's draft. He's also a very, very solid quarterback in college as well. Another guy that could be a little bit on Heisman watch if North Carolina ends up having a good year. South Carolina also a team that's kind of on the outside looking in there on the early season rankings. Could have had maybe a little bit of a chance there. I haven't looked at the actual rankings, I guess, in terms of the votes, but I have to assume they probably got some votes in the AP poll, and we're probably one of the teams just outside the top 25 there. Again, of course, they're led by Spencer Rattler, who's in his, I believe, second or third year there. So that should be a really good game. That's probably one of the top games that I would take a look at online there as well. And then as we go forward here, and Tulane's going to host South Alabama. Tulane is ranked as a Group of 5 team this year. We'll see how they perform, but that shouldn't be too much of a test for them. South Alabama can be solid, but Tulane should take care of business there. And then Sunday, we've got one really good game, another one that might be okay. We'll see. Oregon State will take on San Jose State. Oregon State now left all by itself. Well, not all by itself, but them and Washington State, the only two teams left in the Pac-12 after it was announced that Stanford and Cal will be heading over to the ACC and more conference realignment. But they're going to go play San Jose State. Obviously, USC stomped them. Oregon State's favored by 16.5, so maybe kind of a good measuring stick as seeing where they're at based on how they perform against this same San Jose State team that USC played. USC did play them at home, but it shouldn't really make too much of a difference. I mean, we'll see. Obviously, home field advantage does help a little bit, but we'll see if Oregon State can kind of put them away as easily as USC did. And then best game of the weekend by far probably is going to be number 5 LSU going into Camping World Stadium down there in Orlando, Florida to take on number 8 Florida State. It's the only big time ranked matchup that we have this week. I believe it's the only ranked matchup we have at all this week. And it's a top 10 matchup. So very, very good game here to open up the year for college football. Unfortunately, we do have to wait till Sunday night for it. But that should still be a really, really fun game and a great game to watch. Again, 6:30 p.m. on ABC between LSU and Florida State, two teams who are hoping to vie for a playoff spot this year. Florida State looking to maybe take the ACC home and get their way to the playoff, and LSU, of course, competing in the tougher SEC, but if they have a good year there, could definitely have a chance at getting into the playoff as well. And then finally, week 1 of the college football season will be wrapped up by Clemson and Duke. That should be a relatively easy game, I think, for Clemson to win, but it is in Durham. So we'll see. Duke could maybe make things interesting. They're not an awful team, and it's in a conference matchup. Clemson favored by 13, but they should definitely Duke should definitely have a chance to kind of make things interesting as we get ready to go here in this college football season. So that's kind of how we have our lookout here for the first week of the season. Again, best matchups, kind of keep an eye out on both days, I would say, is going to be Saturday, North Carolina and South Carolina there at the end of the night. Should be very good. And then LSU and Florida State on Sunday, both 6:30 p.m. on ABC. So ABC got the 2 primetime matchups this week. And those are definitely going to be the games to watch out for. Also, great news for everybody. This is our last weekend of the entire year until we get to February that we do not have NFL football starting this Thursday. So 6 days away now is the Thursday night kickoff between the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. Should be a good game. Detroit, a retooled team a little bit. They kind of started making their way up the rankings, I guess, if you want to call it that, the power rankings, and people's just own opinions of Detroit, and kind of started saying, hey, the Lions aren't bad. They're kind of finally starting to turn it around, and we'll see if they can finally make that full turnaround here now as we get into the thick of things here in the NFL season. I think that Detroit has a very good chance here to finally maybe make their way to the top a little bit. Maybe not the top, but a playoff team and a chance to win the NFC North. And then of course Kansas City, they are the defending champions there in the NFL. I mean, they're the Super Bowl champions, so they're gonna have the ring ceremony, I believe, as well. Luckily, I have a chance to attend the game, so that should be really fun. Opening night, so it's gonna be a good week of NFL. Can run through those matchups really quick as well. We got Packers, Bears, Panthers, Falcons, Bengals, Browns, Jags, Colts, Bucks, Vikings, Titans, Saints, Niners, Steelers, Cardinals, Commanders, Texans, Ravens, Raiders, Broncos, Eagles, Patriots, Dolphins and Chargers, Rams and Seahawks, and then Sunday night football will be Cowboys and Giants. And then we wrap it all up there with Monday Night Football between the Bills and the Jets. So with that, that's probably going to just about do it here for me. I believe they're about ready to go out there at Seacrest Field for the high school matchup between Lincoln Southeast and Lincoln East. So that's probably going to about do it for me. We'll get you out there to Nick Sainert and Jay Foreman and get you ready to go for some high school football action right here on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.